according to the GPS, we are 45 minutes from a Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado. I've never been there. I'm really not sure what to expect. I'm picturing desert-like conditions. I don't know.
Something like that.
Okay.
Just a little pocket of them.
We're in a valley right now. What's this valley?
San Luis Valley.
San Luis Valley. So the Rockies are over there, and the mountains.
Sangre de Cristos.
De Cristos.
Sangre de Cristo.
Okay, mountain range, and that's kind of at the sand dunes are at the foot of that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Ooh, it's gonna be so pretty. And I think photographically, what we're aiming for is sunset photos. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the classic sand dunes.
Is it?
Photos or sunset. Yep.
Okay, so landscape sunset type photos. Obviously, we'll be on the lookout for wildlife of any kind. So
Lots
far,
of deer.
Okay, deer. We've seen some birds, just variety of birds. About an hour ago, I saw some pronghorn.
Out of falls.
Ooh.
That could be interesting.
Being so used to the crushing, massive crowds at Rocky Mountain National Park, we were pretty stunned to see Great Sand Dunes National Park on a weekend with very little traffic. We kind of wondered where everyone was, but we're not going to question that too much, right? Okay, day one, we made it to Great Sand Dunes National Park.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
All right.
So,
We got our cameras. Show our camera. And
no big lenses this time.
I didn't want to change lenses out in the sand. Silly boy. Let's go.
Let's go.
The elevation at Great Sand Dunes National Park is over 8,100 feet. So by the time we arrived in late afternoon after hours of driving and the elevation and trudging through the sand, we just went along at a nice slow pace. But we were welcomed by a beautiful day, some wind, some puffy clouds, and this really interesting landscape right in Colorado. How have I never been to Great Sand Dunes National Park? Well, now you can kind of say what you've been there too, maybe. Just kidding. You really do need to go here to experience the full extent. I'm not sure exactly what I expected, kind of like a flat desert area that you'd see in a movie. This was not it. People were out here with, I don't know what they're called, sandboards, where they would walk on top of this hill and they would sled down the sand on these boards, and they were having a grand time. And side note, you're allowed to bring your dogs here. I was a little bit distracted trying to photograph dogs, I'm not gonna lie. And this part of our time at Sand Dunes, we kind of thought of as a scouting trip. We thought we would come back in the morning as well, and also get some pictures from this location from a different vantage point. So we spent a fair amount of time out here doing what we would maybe consider snapshots, but which we ended up really liking, and taking a look at a lay of the land. Did we want to take pictures from exactly right here, right in the sand dunes? Did we want to go back out to the road? And later you'll see an even different vantage point we decided to photograph these amazing dunes in. Look at all that cool ridges and shades and shadows and contrast. You could really spend a lot of time as a photographer studying this location. As you'd expect with sand dunes, it's very windy, and we are in the shade or the wind block of the car right now. And we're really just a minute or two outside the actual entrance to Sand Dunes National Park. And we think this is an amazing vista. Not only is the rabbit brush blooming, there's some other little flowers right here at the side of the road. And you could see the sun just raking over the sand dunes and the mountain range beyond. We spent a lot of time trying to decide how to do this, right, babe?
Yep. And thinking about what kind of shot, where to be for the best shot. I think I'm going to try a panorama tonight and then try some closer up stuff. Although I got this one sand dune that's could be pretty nice. And we'll see what happens as the sun sets. But it's kind of a nice panorama right now. So maybe do that and then see what the sunset is like. With those clouds up there, if those clouds stay there, it could be a pretty awesome night for photography. So get some nice color in there. Of course, I always want color and not getting much of it this year.
Yeah, and what we went into where we could actually walk up on the dunes and decided that we would try that early in the morning before there was a lot of footprints.
Yeah.
So we'll get this for sunset, and we're staying about 45 minutes away in Alamosa, and we'll come back here pretty early in the morning. Good plan.
Yep.
High five.
It's a plan.
High five for the good plan. Oh, also I forgot to mention equipment. A7R4 with the 200 to 600 millimeter lens on for Steve. He's been playing around between that and the 70 to 200. Right now, I've got my A7R3 with the 28 to 75 lens on. And we'll have a whole nother video about all the gear we pack for this 8-day road trip. That's for a different video. But for now, enjoy this sunset over the dunes. This looks cozy.
I just try and get out of the wind. Mostly get this lens is so big because if there's much wind catching it, I get a lot of vibration. So what I'm doing is I'll focus in and then I'll do a manual focus. And when you try and focus it manually, you get a big magnification, and then just hold it and see how much that's vibrating. And that'll tell me how much of a problem the wind is.
So it's not just for comfort sitting here?
No.
Okay. I was going to give you a hard time.
The wind is just right. So we'll see.
I'll stand here and block the wind too.
Wonderful, thank you.
Sit in the car out of the wind for you. Now the sun still has a little time before it goes all the way down, but Steve made a really good point while we were out walking around. The sun is almost at the tip of the sand dunes this time of year, early September, and as it goes down, the shadow falls onto each of the next ridges. Does that make sense? So we have to wait not until the sun's really low in the sky, because then it'll only light up like the first ridge of the dune. Everything else will be in shadows from the previous dune, like kind of like dominoes. One will shade the other and we'll only have light on the one. I don't know if that I'll show you some footage I took with this camera and I'll point out what I'm talking about. But this, even though it's not quite sunset, has really pretty light, and it's really showing off and defining each of those ridges. And I'm glad we didn't wait. There's some bands of clouds too that might obstruct that nice direct sunlight on those ridges. Oh, I am filming with the GoPro right now, and I just changed the battery, and that battery was expanding, and I could hardly get it out. Scary. But anyway, look at the light. Look. This time lapse shows the wild fluctuation in sunset light that's very typical for landscape photography. And if you're a landscape photographer, you sure know this. Look at the difference in the clouds as they move in and out. We have puffy clouds, we have long spread out clouds and diffuse clouds. And unfortunately, the camera was not facing the sun, but you could see how at the last minute, everything just became fairly flat. So the next morning, we headed up to an even different location vantage point. Okay, it's almost 8 o'clock. We're still in Alamosa. We're heading back up to the Great Sand Dunes. I'm not saying I'm grumpy, but I'm about to feel lots better. Yeah? Yeah?
Yes.
Coffee?
Coffee.
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 So we're going to head back out to the Great Sand Dunes National Park, but we're going to take a little side trip that I'll show you in a second. Exciting. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Coffee. All right, we got going about an hour later than we thought we would. It's a hazy morning. I think even if we got here an hour ago, it still would have been pretty hazy. What do you think? Yeah.
Need to come back in the wintertime when the skies are clear.
Ooh. But we have an alternative location. I'm excited for this.
Well, it's going to be a little hazy, but maybe not as bad as we get closer.
Yeah. That looks too tall.
Yep. That's the idea.
Well, here we are up the trailhead of Zapata Falls, and this view is pretty nice, but like we said, it's hazy out. Steve has perched the camera precariously up on the wall here, overlooking, trying to get that early light on the dunes. It's really cool. Last night we had the shadow on the one side of the dunes, and that this morning, of course, it's on the other side. So really, really pretty patterns. I think to get dramatic light, we should have been here an hour ago, though. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, an hour ago, the sun would have been just coming up over the mountains. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been the earliest light that we... Oh, whoa.
Well, it's not bad right now.
No.
Yeah. We're going to do a panorama. What are you doing?
I'm pondering.
Ponder. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up the sand dunes for this video. We had most of the footage from last night.
Yep.
I think it was a nice sunset. We didn't get out here early enough this morning.
Yeah. It would have been nicer earlier, but
it's hazy.
The sky is really hazy right now with the forest fire.
But I still think we got some okay pictures. You got a couple of panos, we're hoping. Yeah. So this has been really pretty. I think we were talking about coming back in the wintertime when it's not fire season. Yeah.
Well, in the wintertime, we'll have snow on the mountain peaks too. So that'll be a really nice contrast. And with clear skies, not only the sand dunes, but the San Luis Valley's an absolute beautiful panorama. So.
All right. Well, we're going to take this short hike up to Zapata Falls. If I do any footage, I'll show you that as well. And that kind of wraps up our Great Sand Dunes video for today.
Yep.
Okay. Good to see you.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. We did indeed hike up to that waterfall, and it was so awesome that I'm saving that for another video. Be sure that you are subscribed and like and all those things so you don't miss a moment. Oh, just like he almost fell in the water. You don't want that to happen. So be sure to subscribe and catch all of the videos from this road trip and more.